Magdalene. After a morning in the gym with the girls, I got showered, then ironed my shirt. I didn't look out the window naked, then did when I put on slacks. I noticed a man pushing a grocery cart full of several fully stuffed trash bags. He pushed the cart through the shadow that fell from the building in the morning sun, and it was amazing how much he had found and bagged off the city ground. Does this recyclist instinctually understand that there is far too much trash on the planet? He's been doing what's more important than buying a new car, but where's the commercial for him? We are more apt to celebrate those who lend a hand to the homeless than to talk to the homeless. This person helps and has probably been told he needs help. He lives and breathes and picks up the trash off the earth. I believe in him. Yes, there is no credit for him that I've seen. Here's his credit. I saw him. I drew him in pen, too. A little blue doodle was made on the inside cover of a copy of my novel, then paired with a small painting of an elephant's head and tied together with a thread of orange yarn. I put that gift down on the bus stop bench where I sat. I don't just empathize with the recyclist and spite those abstractedly pursuing resources through removed behavior-affecting labor because I have felt so down and feel so little for myself that I must champion the underdog, the unseen or monetarily unrewarded. He is not just an object of pity, underdog. That person is doing what needs to be done, even though it doesn't look shiny and glittery, isn't he? If he pushed his carriage of 2 stuffed trash bags to the cool bar or the second cousin's christening, the man collecting plastic and trash off the ground, my, what a bad look, eh? Humph. I must be a better family member. I think the millennials could know better. We still have a chance to change stigmas around diversity by how we see worth on the earth. The plurality of the fish is one thing, but it is not the fish who are making the fish. The proud eat the fish and think they are fish. Think they are heavy-wheeled machines. Think they are your neighbor's wife and her great aunt in Rhode Island. It makes me sick, but of course I was crazy in the dark, not knowing it was so. The help that's needed is clarity about how cool it is to just be human. Sobriety helps. And if I am to wake up one day, experience a psychotic break because the ideas of God I have are wild and ungrounded by the local Pentecostals, and I start to give in to doubt, which in Buddhist meditation is one of the 5 hindrances of enlightenment. If I am to waste thought doubting the whole crux of what I've seen, the grace I've been granted day by day by day, as I try to rush the aging I seek, the gray hairs I think handsome and lovable, the times my life has been saved by dreamy mystic revelation, if I am to forget there are other lives who want to move forward too, out my window as I walk around, if I am to do that because I mistake that I've seen Christ and am bored with that, then what about Mary Magdalene? What of her who was to stand bare and be used by men, abject? Her who understood the basest, most disgusting thoughts of pigmen? Have them act those thoughts on her, Mary Magdalene. The keeper of the only skin flute, the music of her, allowed to be heard only by the Christ thousands of years ago. Do I give up seeing the miracle of the ordinary despite the sacrifices of a more primitive time because my eyes have only known virtual as cool? Do I listen to what I project on the media, retreat to the reality of debt and the fiction of what it means instead of noticing the span of God's kingdom, white sunlight accenting the forest beyond the foothills today, as rich me sits with a pot of gold hooked up to a beeper? Am I less of a man for holding out for moments of judgment, to let her breathe, and have no stitch in her side, and have a life before I sicken myself with lust that does not become who I am as a gentleman? The first questions, water, food. What of Mary Magdalene? And if Christ is an ideal, then what is she? Is she not allowed to exist as a human also? Is she more believable? Or maybe she is just all the girls, for they are all the same, they said, the bulldogs who knew what was when it came, with spots, with beer. This must come down to me, my mother, Lilith, the planet, nuns, aunts, ex-girlfriends whose names sound like the names for months or common syllables, exes I told my favorite songs, and now fog the brilliant moon a man works toward. A sunburned whelp following sagacity, hovering eyes past the young high schoolers who should be able to recognize the increase in age without me having to comment. And imagine that I have the righteous year of good work only to hope I'll be able to go on dates, to have a laughing love, to be normaler in that regard. There are still those who never coupled in the physical and lived absolutely chaste lives. That's how much they love to preserve the integrity of the religion that we have ruined for the dedicated by thinking it's always this way, people are base, etc. Redefine the ordinary. The sacrifices of the past mean nothing, is what those who aren't my friends act out. It's all about me. That's all exaggerated book stuff. Calm down. Don't raise hell. Let's sit here and spew slop they'd have you believe. I can choose my life. What I'd like to be is a good one in the lives of men and women and squirrel people and monks. Must know how I haven't seen before, but I can learn to be. A lot of being your best is thankless, as why should I be owed for being a strapping chap? This thing that is typing is a dead body one day. It is my dead body reanimated. One human, like they all were, people. And don't I owe it to the fact that I'm alive? Can I get over the fact that I have hate for those who are more successful for women like I wanted to be them too, and not have been able to read all the purple books I love? I might have wanted around with Magdalene too. What a creep. Can't I admit that to get over it? I'm just a man, but I have this dream. I have this one dream. All the parts are in it. Robots, saints, paper, the man pushing his bags on Federal. There was one Virgin Mary, wife of Saint Joseph, and we think to be physical with earth is industrious, and consider myth not practical. Like the nations before were fooled, a Jewish woman of little importance, since so is the man collecting trash. And to wake up in the morning and forget that we are literally one of the bodies who could totally affect the toxic trends. Not in this dojo. Me blaming Justin is not letting us get generations ahead in planning. My dream is the quarter in the hands of the homeless who have literally lost their rationality so that this religion has some basis in fact, some structure other than what can be advertised, reality, a constant, sacred. empty people who are there on the brink of chaos, the type guided to sanatoriums when they were inconvenient in Paris. People outside who see the sun and don't need to distill it, so I distill them for you, and you must allow them to teach you, for the truth starts at the very bottom, and the work is waking the dead, they say. I looked out the window again with my pants and belt on and saw a brother make haste across the street. I almost jumped, but I admit I was jumpy about it. He's a big man. Why were they wearing those powdered wigs, and what were those damn discussions like in the dark rooms during the day when they made the documents about nature in America? Was the freedom chiseled in isolation among men wearing wigs? There was a horse and buggy out the window, a tax collector accepting shillings with his hand out, a boy who would go on to hear of a poem by a tree in a maple wood, experience nirvana, and not know what it was called in peace. There was another big man at the sober house who got real close when he talked about prison. There was no regard for personal space, and I felt that he could eat my brain with a spoon. She waits out there with a lasso for a bull, and I'm not the only one working. The logos. And I tell you, there's a whole ecosystem. I read more of Acts on my bed yesterday afternoon in an arctic state of mind and had to meditate and settle into the reading of the Bible while realizing I was dealing with ancient matters and things so many people rely on around me, and I was in the stars in my body, well aware of the weight of the Holy Writ and the smallness of my body at the same time, my cubit. And I know these things happened long ago in Jerusalem. I wake up and continue, invigorated. When I see an old friend I saw days before, I don't freak out or demand sense or an update. Currently, I'm trying to understand better brotherly love and paranoia about homophobia when it comes to intimacy among men. I see younger, wiser men tying each other's shoes outside my window to show me the truth of love. I know my sisters who are strangers will back me up so long as we stay grounded. It is my responsibility to help more children understand because I believe I can. And James Joyce, born in 1882, was an excellent writer. Bram Stoker, born in 1847, author of the epistolary novel Dracula, published in 1897, was Irish and a mathematician. I remembered today, in a meeting where the ether was mine to shape, yet co-workers had their own roots to great heights. I was paying attention, I swear. Fans were on. The microwave was inert. I want to integrate the imagination into adult development clinically, for I think we understood it like Catholics. We could move beyond adulthood and have better adulthoods that aren't so corrupt from suppressed desires and excess desires, and ultimately die more peacefully, since we have given up the roles we served in society as human adults and become more like empty vessels of love by 30. And understood being driven by health before we fold into the grassy plots. And meanwhile, if we learn the use of metaphor and imagination as a way to breathe and coexist with many bodies and be more active all the time without deluding ourselves we need to be anywhere, to question until tabula rasa that we are categorizing aptly and stop feeling embarrassed for being childlike, and even help the bullies who try to sniff out or drool on the creativity, we can just live in some joy. And in the end, it's like the Brahma in Hinduism, all incorporating. But Mary, and the women outside who need men, and the man pushing his collection, here I am, and there you are, represented in 2023, and a neighbor shouts, "Yo!"